Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. Today we have with us an art film expert and an officer of the Vedic Dhamma Sansthan. Today we'll be discussing about the impact of art flowing practices like Sudarshan Kriya and meditation on various Ramayana characters. So Kumbhakarna was powerful but bound by fate. Could art of living practices change him? Yes, Jayagurudev Sattva would have increased with vegetarian diet, Sudarshan Kriya, and meditation. Instead of destruction, he would have used his strength for seva. With Sandhya Vandanam and Agnihotra, his destiny could have been reoriented. He might have stood up to Ravana, becoming Lanka's guardian of Dharma. Now, Vibhishana was already righteous. How would art of living enhance him? Art of living would deepen his devotion and courage. He could have led satsangs in Lanka earlier, guiding more people towards surrender with Guru Puja and Homas and Pujas. His wisdom would have spread, making him not just Ravana's brother, but Lanka's true rishi. Now, how would Ravana's wife Mandodari be different with art of living wisdom? Her pain could have been healed with meditation, giving her strength to challenge Ravana's decisions firmly. With Devi Puja, she could have become an embodiment of Shakti, inspiring Rakshasi women to walk the path of Dharma. Now, how would Spai, Shuka, and Sarana evolve? Their skills of observation could be used for peace building rather than spying. Meditation would have turned them into seekers of truth. With chanting of Vishnu Sahasranama, they could have served as messengers of peace between Rama and Ravana. Now, with Dyuchava, how could this Rakshasa be transformed? His deceit would vanish with satsang. He might use his eloquence for spreading wisdom. Through Homa and mantra recitation, he could transform from a destroyer to a teacher of truth. Now, Vajradhamastra, what about Vajradhamastra? His violent power would become discipline through Padma Sadhana. Instead of terror, he would emanate courage and protection with the Rudrabhisheka. His destructive force could have merged into Shiva consciousness. Dhumraksha, how would art of living change him? Breathwork could have dissolved his arrogance. He might have used his military skills for protecting sages. Through Agnikaram, his energy could shift from tamas to sattva. Could Nikumba be saved? Yes, Jayagurudev, Seva and chanting would have replaced pride with humility. With the Gayatri Japa, he might have become a warrior monk. Atikaya, what about Atikaya? Art of living practices would reduce his ego, making him a servant of humanity. With yagyas. He could have used his astras to preserve forests and rivers. Mahodara, how would Mahodara's role change? His destructive tendencies could turn into administrative service through art of living leadership programs. With Sandhya Vandanam, he might have become a wise minister of peace. Now, Narantaka, lastly, Narantaka, how would art of living influence him? His cruelty could dissolve in the practice of Sudarshan Kriya, turning him into a compassionate leader. With regular yagyas, he might have sought blessings for humanity instead of terrorizing people. Mandodari, how would Mandodari's life transform if she practiced art fluent techniques? Yes, Jayagurudev, Mandodari, known for her wisdom, would have found even deeper strength through Sudarshan Kriya and meditation. In the Ramayana, she often advised Ravana to return Sita and avoid destruction, but her voice went unheard with art fluent practices. She could have cultivated a calming influence strong enough to transform her husband's anger into surrender. Gurudev's wisdom on letting go of ego and embracing dharma would have helped her balance compassion with the courage. Mandodari's innate nobility would shine brighter, turning her into a guiding force of peace for Lanka rather than a grieving widow. Now, Surpnaka's jealousy caused a chain of events leading to war. How could art of living wisdom have helped her? Surpnaka suffered from rejection, anger, and unchecked desires. Had she learned meditation, pranayama, and padmasana, her restless mind would have been steadied instead of seeking fulfillment in infatuation and revenge. She could have turned her energy towards seva and spiritual growth. Gurudev often says a restless mind finds faults, a settled mind finds solutions. With chanting, satsang, and guidance, Surpanaka could have transformed her passion into devotion, becoming a seeker of knowledge rather than a victim of hurt. Her fiery nature could have been channeled into protecting dharma, not instigating adharma. Vibhishana was already righteous. How would art of living enhance his qualities? Yes, Jayagurta Vibhishana embodied dharma amidst adharma, standing firm against Ravana's arrogance. With the art of living practices, his clarity would have deepened further. Sudarshan Kriya would help him manage the pain of being alienated by his family, while Guru Puja and knowledge sessions would affirm his commitment to truth without bitterness. Gurudev's teachings on belongingness beyond blood ties would resonate with him, reinforcing that true family is the world living in harmony. Vibhishana's role as an advisor would be enriched with compassion, turning even enemies into allies. His seva would bring Lanka into prosperity and spiritual revival. Now, could a Kumbhakarna, known for sleep and strength, have changed with the art of living practices? Absolutely, Jayagurudev. Kumbhakarna was not inherently evil. His downfall was due to Ravana's influence and his lethargic tendencies. If he had learned pranayama, yoga, and Shakti Kriya, his enormous physical energy could have been balanced with alertness and inner wisdom. Meditation would awaken his intellect, shifting his loyalty from blind obedience to enlightened choice. Gurudev's wisdom on responsibility above relation could have inspired him to guide Ravana instead of fighting for him. With chanting and seva, Kumbhakarna's might would serve Dharma, perhaps even protecting Sita instead of opposing Rama. His story could have ended as a protector, not a casualty. Indrajit was a fierce warrior. How would the art of living have transformed his qualities? Jayagurudev's Indrajit's power came from tapasya and his devotion to Ravana, but arrogance blinded him with the art of living practices like meditation, chanting, and Sandhyavandanam. His tapasya would mature into humility. Gurudev's wisdom emphasizes that true victory is mastery over the mind, not others. If Indrajit had internalized this, his skills could have been used to protect truth rather than deception. Seva would have turned his valor into service for society. Instead of dying in battle, he could have been a dharmic leader, combining bravery with compassion, a warrior saint shaping Lanka's destiny differently. Now, Somali, how was and who was Somali in the Ramayana, and why is he significant? Jayagurudev, yes, Somali was the powerful Rakshasa king of the underworld and the grandfather of Ravana. Kumbhakarna and Surpanaka, he desired to restore the lost glory of his Rakshasa dynasty and persuaded his daughter Kekasi to marry sage Vishrava, thus ensuring powerful offspring. Through this union, Ravana and his siblings were born. Somali represents ambition and dynastic revival, as his determination indirectly set the stage for Ravana's rise. His story reminds us how parental influence and ancestral ambition can shape destinies, leading to both great power and eventual downfall. What role did KKC Ravana's mother play in the Ramayana? Jayagurudeva's KKC was the daughter of Sumali and the wife of sage Vishrava, making her the mother of Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishana, and Surpanaka. She chose Vishrava, a learned sage, as her husband to balance her Rakshasa lineage with the Brahminical wisdom. Through her, the Rakshasa clan gained both power and knowledge. KKC was also the guiding influence in her children's lives, encouraging Ravana's tapasya and recognizing Vibhishana's inherent righteousness. Her character embodies maternal strength and foresight, showing how mothers play a central role in shaping future generations for better or worse. Now, Maya Danava, who was Maya Danava and what was his contribution in the epic? Jayagurudev Maya Danava, an architect of the Asuras, was the father of Mandodari, Ravana's chief queen. Renowned for his unparalleled skill in architecture, he constructed palaces, celestial weapons, and aerial chariots. His daughter Mandodari inherited nobility and wisdom. Contrasting with Ravana's arrogance, Maya Danava symbolizes mastery in science and art, demonstrating that knowledge itself is neutral. It can serve both dharma and adharma, depending on who wields it. Through him, the Ramayana acknowledges the contributions of diverse beings to civilization, highlighting that brilliance in craft and intellect transcends moral divisions. Now, why is Mandodari Ravana's queen admired in the Ramayana? As Jayagurudev Mandodari, daughter of Maya Danava and wife of Ravana, is praised for her wisdom, loyalty, and righteousness. Despite being married to a tyrant, she consistently advised Ravana against adharma and urged him to return Sita to Rama. Her life reflects the struggle of a virtuous soul bound to a flawed partner. She remained devoted to Ravana but never hesitated to speak the truth after Ravana's death. Mandodari grieved deeply yet maintained her dignity. Her character highlights strength, patience, and adherence to Dharma amidst turmoil, making her one of the most respected women in the epic. Now, Jai Gurudev, Atikaya, who was Atikaya and what was his role in the war? Yes, Jai Gurudev, Atikaya was a mighty son of Ravana and Dhanya Malini, renowned for his strength, valor, and mastery over celestial weapons. During the Battle of Lanka, he fought fiercely against Rama's army and defeated many Vararas. He was ultimately slain by Lakshmana with an arrow empowered by Lord Shiva's blessings. Atikaya represents youthful valor and loyalty to family, yet his downfall underscores the futility of siding with Adharma. Despite his potential, his alliance to Ravana cost him his life, teaching that even the greatest warriors fall when they oppose righteousness. Now, Akshay Kumara, what happened to Akshay Kumara in the Ramayana? Akshay Kumara, the young son of Ravana and Mandodari, was sent to confront Hanuman when the mighty Vanara set Lanka ablaze. Brave and skilled in warfare despite his youth, Akshay fearlessly attacked Hanuman. However, Hanuman, compassionate yet unyielding, killed him in battle. Akshay Kumara's death caused immense grief to Mandodari and anger to Ravana. His story illustrates youthful bravery overshadowed by faith and the consequences of standing against Dharma. It also portrays Hanuman's immense power and controlled strength as he respected the boy's courage but could not spare him in battle. Now, Indrajit or Meghnad, why is Indrajit considered Ravana's most powerful son? Yes, Jagodev, Indrajit, also known as Meghnad, was Ravana's eldest and most formidable son. Gifted with invincibility through his penance to Lord Brahma, he earned the name Indrajit by defeating Indra in battle. His mastery of illusion, astras, and sorcery made him one of the greatest warriors in the Ramayana. Indrajit wounded Rama and Lakshmana severely during the war and even bound them with Nagapasha serpent arrows. Ultimately, he was killed by Lakshmana after a fierce battle. Indrajit represents unmatched power coupled with devotion to family, yet his fall demonstrates the inevitability of Dharma's triumph over Adharma. Now, what role did Trijita, the Rakshasi, play in Sita's captivity? As Jagradev, Trijita was an elderly Rakshasi in Lanka who displayed compassion towards Sita during her captivity. Unlike other Rakshasis who tormented Sita, Trijita comforted her and even recounted a prophetic dream where Rama emerged victorious and Ravana was destroyed. She encouraged Sita to stay strong and hopeful, becoming a silent ally amidst her hostility. Trijita embodies kindness and truth even within a demonic environment, showing that goodness can shine anywhere. Her character reinforces the idea that dharma transcends clan, species, and birth, as even a Rakshasi became a beacon of hope for Sita. Now, how did Surpanaka influence the key events of the Ramayana? Yes, Jayagurdev, Surpanaka, Ravana's sister, played a pivotal role in triggering the central conflict of the Ramayana. Enchanted by Ram's beauty, she approached him with desire only to be rejected. In anger, she attacked Sita, but Lakshmana disfigured her by cutting off her nose. Humiliated, she instigated Ravana to abduct Sita, leading to the Great War. Surpanaka symbolizes uncontrolled desire and vengeful anger, yet her role also highlights how small actions can trigger massive consequences in destinies unfolding. She serves as a reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked impulses and the importance of restraint. Now, why is Kumbhakarna both feared and admired in the Ramayana? Yes, Jayagurudeva, Kumbhakarna, Ravana's gigantic brother, is remembered for his immense strength, loyalty, and tragic fate. The curse to sleep for 6 months at a time, he awoke only to wreak havoc on the battlefield. Though loyal to Ravana, he advised him to return Sita to Rama and avoid war. Yet, bound by duty to his brother, he fought valiantly against Rama's army. Ultimately, Rama slew him after a fierce battle. Kumbhakarna embodies loyalty, duty, and the inner conflict between dharma and family ties. His story is a lesson in the cost of blind loyalty, even when wisdom prevails. Jai Gurudev, so if Rama himself were to attend Art of Living programs, what would happen? Jai Gurudev, yes, Lord Rama was already an embodiment of dharma, patience, and compassion. Yet, if he engaged in Sudarshan Kriya and advanced meditations, his calmness would radiate even more profoundly in this age of restlessness. Through satsang and seva, he would inspire millions globally, not only as a king, but as a humanitarian leader bridging cultures. His adherence to Padma Sadhana and Sandhya Vandanam would amplify his centeredness in 2025. His leadership style would resonate with corporate and political leaders worldwide as an example of balanced living, firm in principle yet soft in heart. Now, how about Sita Mata's role? Jayagurudevya, Sita represents purity and strength. In today's times, she might face challenges of women in society, gender bias, exploitation, and emotional struggles. If she joined Art of Living's women empowerment programs, meditations and chanting sessions, her resilience would become a beacon for women worldwide. Instead of suffering silently in Ashok Vatika, she could lead support groups and empower others with spiritual strength. Art of Living's Shakti Kriya would enhance her inner power, ensuring that her story in 2025 would be less about abduction and sorrow and more about inspiring collective feminine strength and dignity. What about Hanumanji if he practiced Art of Living techniques? Jagadev Hanumanji was already the ultimate yogi, focused, strong, and devoted. In 2025, with Art of Living Pranayamas, Sudarshan Kriya, and Guru Puja, his boundless energy would be directed towards global seva. Imagine Hanuman as a modern day servant leader, helping victims of natural disasters, guiding youth out of depression, and spreading chanting of Hanuman Chalisa worldwide. Art of Living would refine his raw energy into structured service, making him a spiritual ambassador bridging devotion with the practical welfare. His humility merged with art of living knowledge would inspire millions of volunteers globally. Now, Jagadev Ravana is often seen as the antagonist that could art of living transform him. Yes, Jagadev Ravana was extremely knowledgeable but blinded by ego and desire. In 2025, had he practiced art of living meditations and Sanyam sadhana of level 1 and level 2, his anger and lust would dissolve, revealing the wisdom hidden behind arrogance. Sudarshan Kriya could melt his stress, bringing clarity. Chanting mantras and attending Gurudev's satsangs might have softened his ego, transforming him into a true Vidwan who used his 10 heads for research, music, and upliftment rather than destruction. Instead of war, he could have become a global Vedic scholar, conducting homas and empowering society. Now, Lakshmana is admired for his loyalty. How would art of living enhance him? Jagadev Lakshmana's restless temperament and occasional bursts of anger would calm significantly through Art of Living's breathing techniques and Padma Sadhana. His sleeplessness during the exile could be replaced by deep rest from meditation. In 2025, his loyalty could extend into serving as a role model for youth, teaching self discipline and brotherhood. Art of Living programs would refine his sharpness into wisdom, preventing burnout and channeling his courage into leadership with compassion. He would symbolize a balance between action or karma yoga and inner peace. How would Supnaka's story be different? Supnaka's tragedy was her uncontrolled desire and anger. In today's age, if she had access to Art of Living's women centric programs, healing meditations, and satsang, she could transform her pain into self respect. Instead of humiliation leading to violence, she might have become an advocate for inner beauty and self worth through chanting and spiritual practices. Her destructive tendencies could have been dissolved, making her an empowered woman instead of a symbol of disgrace. Now, what role would Art of Living have played for Vibhishana? Jagadev Vibhishana was already righteous but torn between loyalty to his family and dharma. Art of Living would have given him the courage and inner strength to stand firm earlier without guilt. With Sudarshan Kriya, clarity in decision making becomes natural. In 2025, Vibhishana could become a global peacemaker working through diplomatic channels, showing how to follow conscience over blind loyalty. Art of Living wisdom would amplify his inner voice, empowering him to choose dharma without hesitation. What about the Vanara Sena, the ordinary warriors? Yes, the Vanara symbolize the common people with immense energy but a little discipline. Art of Living programs like Yes for Youth and Utkarsh Yoga for Children would channel their playfulness into teamwork and seva. Through breathing techniques and chanting, their monkey like restlessness would transform to enthusiasm for social service. Instead of chaotic battles in 2025, they could be seen as global volunteers, planting trees, helping in disaster relief, and spreading joy through satsangs. How would Kekai's story change with the art of living? Kekai's mind was clouded by manipulation and attachment. With art of living knowledge sessions and meditation. Her emotional turbulence would dissolve, restoring her love for Rama. In 2025, instead of being remembered as the cause of exile, she could have been a symbol of motherly wisdom and generosity. Art of living practices would heal her insecurity, ensuring she acts from love, not fear. She could inspire blended families worldwide to embrace harmony rather than division. Finally, how would the entire Ramayana narrative shift if all characters practiced the art of living in 2025? The Ramayana would no longer be a story of war and loss but of collective transformation. Characters like Ravana and Surpanakha would have their negative tendencies resolved through art of living practices, while Rama, Sita, Hanuman, and Lakshmana would shine brighter as leaders of seva, meditation, and compassion. Instead of conflict, the Ramayana in 2025 would become a story of reconciliation, global seva projects, satsangs, homas, and harmony. With Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Jesus' blessings, every character's hidden potential would emerge, turning an epic of struggle into an epic of peace and universal brotherhood. Now, Art of Living, if the characters of Ramayana were to come alive in 2025 and attend Art of Living programs, how do you think their inner journey would be different? Suppose if Lord Rama, Sita Mata, Hanumanji, Lakshmana, Bharat, and even Ravana participated in Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Jesus programs, their lives would reflect even deeper harmony. Meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, Padma Sadhana, and the wisdom talks would refine their inner balance. Rama's equanimity would shine brighter, Hanuman's devotion would expand into service for the whole world, and Sita Mata's resilience would inspire millions of women. Even Ravana's arrogance could soften through pranayama and satsang, transforming ego into devotion instead of a story of war. Ramayana would become a story of universal awakening, seva, and spiritual upliftment. Now, how would these practices have impacted the negative characters like Ravana, Surpanakha, and Maricha? The beauty of the Vedic tradition is the transformation. If Ravana had done Sudarshan Kriya, his inner restlessness would have melted, dissolving ego. Surpanakha, instead of being consumed by luster, would have discovered self respect through Devi Puja and Sayam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2. Maricha, instead of deceiving Sita, could have used his talents in music, mantra chanting, and yagya to uplift society. The art of living platform could turn their tamasic tendencies into seva. Gurudev's wisdom has the power to awaken dharmic qualities even in those seen as enemies. This conflict would give way to harmony, creating a Ramayana of reconciliation. What about the noble characters? Would they gain anything new from these practices? Lakshmana's discipline could soften with compassion through Guru Puja and Sandhya Vandanam, preventing him from becoming harsh. Bharat's selflessness would be recognized globally as leadership with humility, inspiring CEOs and politicians today. Hanuman's service spirit would expand into worldwide seva, spreading the message of yoga and meditation. Sita Mata's tapasya would be balanced by the grace of guided meditations and Devi pujas, empowering women with both strength and serenity. Even Rama himself would be a global peace ambassador, just like Gurudev, leading not only Ayodhya but the whole world into dharma through knowledge and compassion. Now, in rituals like yagyas, homas, and parayanas that art of living integrates, how would these have helped during critical moments of Ramayana? Imagine if before the war, Ravana and Rama had both participated in a Mahaganapati Homam at Pratap Ganpati temple under Gurudev's presence. The Sankalpa of collective peace could have avoided bloodshed. Instead of the Lanka war, we might have had a Mahasatsang with chanting of Hanuman Chalisa and Vishnu Sahasranama, where Ravana's ego dissolved. The Yagyas, Upananam, and Agni Karyam create inner purity and harmony in nature, which could have changed destiny itself. Ramayana would then stand not just as an epic of conflict, but as a divine model of transformation through Vedic and art of living practices. If all these 300 characters were in art of living programs, what would the collective transformation look like? Imagine the 300 characters together in a Yes Plus program, practicing pranayama and meditation. Angat's youthful energy channeled into leadership, Jambavan's wisdom guiding seva projects, Vibhishana leading peace building workshops, and even Ravana teaching music and Vedas with humility. Instead of exile and battle, the story would be of a global community living in seva, satsang, and celebration. Gurudev often says a society where everyone meditates will have no crime. Ramayana in 2025 would not end in war but in world peace and eternal satsang where dharma is lived and every character contributes to harmony. Jai Gurudev.